Braves. The Phils took a late lead and held on for a 1-run win. But today's a new day, and unbeaten Jair Jurgens goes to the mound for the Braves. He'll try to even things up against the fighting Phils next. Another beautiful Saturday afternoon for baseball at Turner Field in Atlanta, where this afternoon will feature Game 2 of a three-game weekend set between the homestanding Braves and the first-place Philadelphia Phillies. All year long, Atlanta Braves baseball on Peachtree TV and Sports South is being presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the right stuff, and the low price. Good afternoon, everybody. Along with Brian Jordan and Joe Simpson, Chip Carey. The Phillies last night, fellas, tried to gift wrap one for the Braves. Atlanta couldn't take it. Phillies win Game 1 of the series, but today, unbeaten Jair Jurgens looks to rebound things for Atlanta.
Yeah, the Phillies have won 3 out of 4 here at Turner Field so far this year. They need to get it turned around, and who better to have on the mound than Jair Jurgens, who's undefeated this year and a great ERA. He's allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of his starts. And he pitched a great game last Sunday in Philadelphia. He pitched into the 7th inning, gave up on only 1 run, and was outstanding. Let's hope that that continues. But as you know, you see a pitcher back-to-back starts, sometimes you can make some adjustments. We'll see if they do.
Speaking of outstanding, Brian Jordan, that combination at the top of the Braves order certainly is clicking. Nate McLouth had a big day batting behind a suddenly red-hot Martin Prado.
How about Martin Prado? He's starting to round into all-star form. He got off to a slow start, but last night he had his 4th 3-hit game. I love the way his swing is just so short. He never tries to do too much with a pitch, just goes with it. And he tried to hit this ball through the wall. He hit that ball so hard, I just knew it was out. Good play by Shane Victorino getting the ball in, but he has been terrific. I mean, can't say enough about him. He's the most consistent hitter in the Braves lineup.
Let's see if he can keep it going today in the second game of 3 with the Philadelphia Phillies. This series has been very, very tight overall and over the last couple of years, and we'll look at that for you when we come back to the TED in just a quick moment. In game 2, Chip, Joe, and Brian back upstairs here at Turner Field. Phillies with a one-game series lead this year, Brian. But if you look inside the numbers, this series has been a lot closer than I certainly realized going back a couple of years against the Phils.
Well, I'm really surprised because, Phillies winning the division the last couple years have been pretty dominant. But if you look at the numbers, the Braves have 44 home runs to 41. I would have never imagined that, especially the way Ryan Howard has been hitting the ball versus the Braves. But you got to rise up to your competition. The last 3 years, the Phillies have been the #1 team.
And it's going to be even tougher today for Atlanta, as the Phillies will try to make it 2 in a row in this series, guys, because they haven't lost a day game yet this year. Kind of surprising there, but they're 10-0 in day games. The Braves are 7-7.
Let's change that 10-0 thing. Need to do that with Roy Halladay lurking tomorrow for the Phillies. Joe Blanton pitches for them today. Jair Jurgens is unbeaten, and he'll tangle with the fighting Phils. First pitch starting lineups coming right up from Atlanta. Braves and Phillies play in game 2. The Braves honored some veterans of the old Negro Leagues today. 14 of those gentlemen were on the field today. And Red Moore and Norman Lumpkin, 2 stars of the Atlanta Black Crackers, were also here. Brooks Conrad caught the ceremonial first pitch. Great to see those guys, Brian. And for those who don't know the history of professional baseball in our country, the Negro Leagues were a wonderful, wonderful league.
Very entertaining league and a lot of fun. And Red Moore is one of my favorites. He does so much in the community here in Atlanta. I enjoy getting his perspective on baseball today. A lot of fun just sitting down talking with him.
And the Braves sporting the Black Crackers uniforms today.
And the Phillies sporting the uniforms of the Philadelphia Stars. I love watching the modern player hiking their pant legs up to their knees and seeing how they really look in a uniform.
How about the red pockets, too?
Yeah, I
like the red pockets.
Can't wait to see Ryan Howard jog out there.
And there are the Philadelphia Stars uniforms. And here's how Charlie Manuel lines up his 2011 Stars in Philly colors today. Same top 6 in their order. Wilson Valdez and Dane Sardina get starts in front of Joe Blanton, the Phillies starter, who bats 9th.
Joe, you look at the top 2 in that lineup. Has to be probably the best in the league.
You pointed out last night, Brian, that they are both switch hitters. So that gives the manager a lot of flexibility. He doesn't have to move anybody around, move somebody from second to sixth or seventh. He just leaves those guys up there and lets the opposing manager have to deal with it. And when they can both fly like they both can, Rollins and Victorino, just puts a lot of pressure on the opposing team.
Both 5-tool players. They have it all. They have some pop in that bat, and they're versatile. I mean, you can bat Shane, who started the season at leadoff, and now Jimmy's back in that role and doing a great job because Shane is driving the ball all over the place, driving some runs in for the Phillies.
And speaking of 5, Joe, 5 would be a very nice number for Jurgens today.
It would indeed. He tries for his 5th straight victory. He's 4-0 with a 1.50 ERA. And that win Sunday in Philadelphia makes him 4-3 lifetime. But his last 7 starts against the Phillies, outstanding. Averaging pitching into the 7th inning, a 1.96 ERA and a 1.95 average against this lineup. Are you kidding me? That's good work. And some of his recent success he attributes to changing the grip on his sinker, which he says he went to the Venner's grip, which is gripping the baseball on the flat surface of the baseball, not on the seams.
Well, you know, Joe, this game is all about adjustments. And when I saw him in his rehab start in Gwinnett and talked to him after the game, I said, you're about to return to your 2009 form, and he felt that good. And so far, so good for him.
Here's the defense behind JJ today in Atlanta. Prado McLeod and Eric Hinsky, the Diesel, in right. Freeman, Ugla, Gonzalez, and Chipper around the horn. David Ross gets the start. Freddie Gonzalez has said he likes when David Ross catches Jair Jurgens, but that's not going to be an exclusive battery pairing this year.
Just kinda.
Yeah. So just about set to go with Jimmy Rollins in the batter's box.
I think Freddie had to make a decision because you got Chipper and McCann back-to-back day games. You got to give somebody an off day.
.74 degrees in Atlanta on first pitch. And Rollins batting .280 for Philadelphia. As you mentioned, Brian, his batting average really has climbed since he's moved out of the number 3 spot and gone back to the leadoff spot for the Phillies.
Well, he's found his confidence. He got off to a slow start. I guess when you hit behind Shane Victorino, you get that confidence because he's been so good. And this Phillies ball club is a much better ball club when he's leading off. But he struggled in his career versus Jair, just 5 for 29.
In the air to center. Rollins hit the ball in the air a lot last night and flies out for the 4th time in this series. We mentioned how cool these uniforms look today, and all the jerseys used by both the Braves and Phillies in the game are being auctioned off for charity. Each one will be signed by the player after the game, and that jersey is available for bidding right now at Braves.com/jersey auction.
I think that'll be fun for people. And I said a couple of days ago, most people like auctions. They like to be involved in them, and this is a way to do it online for maybe your favorite player's jersey.
Be putting a couple bids.
Yeah,
be putting a couple bids in for a couple jerseys.
Like one that has a 33 on the back or something. Yeah,
that's right.
Victorino's been the Phillies' hottest hitter. He's got a 15-game hitting streak. That's one shy of his career high. He took that to 15 games very fast yesterday, a first-inning single.
And this year versus the Atlanta Braves, I mean, he has been red hot, hitting .484 with 5 RBIs and a home run.
That's why I think when Utley comes back, there's a chance he might move down in the order some, Brian, just to take advantage of his run production when he drives him in.
You're right.
No play for Chipper. Victorino behind in the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And Shane does such a good job of fouling off some tough pitches, just staying alive. Shortens up with 2 strikes, and with his speed, he just wants to put the ball in play somehow.
He also does a great job of earning strike 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Topic of discussion in the clubhouse, certainly, after getting an extra swing last night and making it pay.
Well, it changed the whole game.
Popped up. Ross gives chase.
Oh. Ow. Not a good way to start your day, to get smoked in the back of the head. I think 2 people got hit down there.
In the top of the first inning. It's going to be a long day for that man.
Owie.
So Victorino got 4 strikes last night. He's got 2 strikes on a foul ball today. What's going on in this series?
Turner Field staff right on that, though, down there. That's good.
This pop-up will be handled at short. And here is the controversial play last night. Came in the 7th inning.
Brian said the umpire, David Rackley, a rookie umpire, told him when the debate was going on that he said he didn't get a good look at it.
Wow.
Ball was down the middle.
Well, Shane told me an interesting story. He said when Brian came back and said, I'm sorry, I thought you said strike. Shane said, no, I heard him clearly. He said ball.
Of course he did.
And it was deflating. There's no question about that. That's what Chipper called that play last night. Polanco the batter. And he'll ground to the left side. Chipper to his left. And Jurgens continues his fine work this year. 3 up, 3 down for the Phillies. Atlanta's coming up against right-hander Joe Blanton. Let's look for some smooth sailing in the first inning. '21 wins, 19 losses. This nice crowd at Turner Field, hoping to see the Braves carve into that 5.5 game lead held by the Phillies over Atlanta. Eric Hinske back in the lineup for the Braves, playing right field. Dan Uggla is going to hit 5th at second base. David Ross, as we mentioned, starts, catches, and hits 8th.
And on the mound for the Phillies is Joe Blanton, making his 6th start. He's 1-1 with a very high ERA and 40 hits allowed in 29 1/3 innings. That's why it's a .345 average against him. He was on the DL, missed a start or 2 because of an impingement in his elbow. He's a guy, upper 80s, low 90s fastball, good curve, and works fast.
Ball 1 to Martin Prado. Martin sporting a 5-game hitting streak. And he ropes one deep left. 1-0.
He brushes him back again.
Well, we talked about how hot he has been lately. In this homestand alone, he's hit 474 with 2 home runs, and just add another home run to this homestand. He has been phenomenal.
5th career leadoff homer, first this year.
Joe, you make a real good point. Brush him back at your own peril. He's hit a grand slam in this homestand after getting buzzed. And a first inning run for Jair Jurgens and Nate McLeod. An even count.
I got a question from the fan earlier this year about Prado when he was hitting 250, and he said,
Nate puts charge into a ball. Victorino going back. Back to back.
You folks can bid on these unis all you want, but I don't think they're going to give them up.
wow, what a start for the Braves. And I didn't even get a chance to finish my comment. And I don't need to anymore after watching that straightaway center field ball by Nate McLeod.
First time this year the Braves have had back-to-back homers. Nate's first homer since he took Zach Greinke out of the yard. And why not back-to-back-to-back? Why not?
Well, Chipper's hitting 353 off of Blanton in his career.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Blanton had given up just 2 homers in 29 innings coming in.
And he fooled Chipper with that pitch and has his first strikeout of the game. 2-0 Atlanta, 1 out, and Eric Hinske bats.
Looked like Chipper was looking for a fastball and he got an off speed. All his weight was transferred forward. And he just kind of wailed at the ball.
Eric Hinske, 3 homers and 7 RBIs in the last 8 he's played, and he drives one down the line. And Mr. Blanton isn't fooling many so far.
That's right. Go up there swinging, boys.
That's right.
Grab a bat.
If he's going to keep the ball up in the zone, take your chances.
Hinske's our SunTrust solid performer.
Red hot numbers. This is very consistent with the way Joe Blanton's been pitching in terms of giving up runs in the first inning. And he gave up 3 hits in the bottom of the first, his last start, and a run. But then seems to settle in, and his middle innings are a little better, but he's been a slow starter.
And he's the one guy, because that's not been a problem for this Phillies team overall, has it?
No.
Well, after giving up those 2 home runs off of fastballs, looks like he's starting to go to that off speed, the changeup.
His fastball's not good enough to challenge the Braves hitters, especially when he's up in the zone. If he's up in the zone early, they'll wear him out as Prado and McLeod did.
Gets out to second. Valdez makes the play. Pete Orr started for the Phillies at second last night. Valdez gets the start today. Handles his first chance cleanly. And here's a man that could use a hit, Dan Uggla. Guys, I know a lot of fans were upset at that call that went against the Braves on strike 3, but really the game might have been decided by the Braves' struggles with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, it was ugly last night. No pun intended here, because Dan was one of the culprits. He and Freddie Freeman had some opportunities.
And Dan had a rough night last night, 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. And you look at this 5 and 6 spot in the lineup. They've been struggling with runners in scoring position. 11 for 69. And last night, 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts between the two of them.
Yeah, Dan's recent numbers you saw there, just not Dan Uggla-like.
You got to think, Joe, you just get a new contract, you get traded to a new ball club. It has to be weighing on him. I've been in that situation when I got traded to L.A. in the first month and a half. Instead of just being myself, I was trying to prove to the fans that I belonged. And I think that's a little bit of what Dan is going through right now.
Blanton strikes him out. But the Braves strike for 2 home runs back-to-back. Martin Prado leads off with a shot. And Nate McLeod to straightaway center field. Jair Jurgens enjoys a 2-0 lead after 1. By AT&T, by Delta Airlines, and by the Georgia Lottery. Great start for the Braves. The first time this year they've hit back-to-back homers. Prado and McLeod the honors against Joe Blanton. Now Jair Jurgens will face Ryan Howard, the Phillies' first baseman, who cracked a 3-run homer in the first inning last night. As always, the Braves employ a defensive shift, and that leads us to our Home Depot know-how question of the game. And fellas, Rex out of Avondale Estates wants to know why Chipper's the man moving to second base and not the shortstop, Alex Gonzalez.
Freddie's answer to me on that was that he'd rather leave just the shortstop in his normal position. If you're going to move somebody out of position, move the third baseman over so that everybody's not playing out of position.
Well, to be honest, I couldn't understand it myself because Chipper came up as a shortstop. But I guess as he gets older, you got to figure Alex Gonzalez has more range than Chipper Jones. So that has to be the reason.
And 2 knee surgeries for Chipper.
But you know what? This is Freddie's philosophy, because I remember in Florida there were times where Jorge Cantu was playing third base and he would be moved over to the right field side a second when they put a shift on, and he would leave Hanley Ramirez in place at short.
Took a little off, and Howard now a full count.
And Ryan hitting .296 in his career off Jair. A home run, 3 RBIs.
Thought about a second one with that pitch, fouled it away.
One of the nice things for Ryan Howard when he came up, and he had great minor league numbers, but Jim Thome was still with the Phillies when he first came up, and Jim Thome was really a good influence on Ryan, helped him a lot.
Jurgens got Howard to chase. First strikeout of the day.
Fastball up and out of the zone, a little two-seamer running away from him, and Ryan couldn't stop his swing.
Here's Ben Francisco, the Phillies right fielder.
Lately, Ben has been struggling 2 for his last 24. And he's 0 for 2 off of Jair in his career.
Two outs.
We've talked about during the course of the season some of the Braves starting pitchers having some problems early on, especially in the first inning. That's not the case with Jurgens. He's only allowed 1 run in any of the first 3 innings in any of his starts. His ERA goes up a little bit, but it's still 2.14 from the 4th inning on. And he's off to a good start today, 5 up, 5 down.
One thing about Jair, he's not afraid to be aggressive. He will throw that fastball and say, hit me, early in the game. And that has to contribute to his success so far.
Raul Ibanez, fellas, certainly has figured things out. We mentioned last night, had a horrible 0 for 35 slump. Since then, 17 hits in his last 37 at bats.
That's getting it going.
And he's even better with runners in scoring position. He's 4 for his last 7.
He's a great story. Ibanez will be 39 on June 2nd. Never got a chance to play every day as a big leaguer until he was 29 years old. First time he had as many as 495 at bats in the big leagues, and it took him a while. Started with Seattle, then Kansas City, back to the Mariners, then the Phillies got him in 2009. He had 34 homers that year for them. He just took a called third strike on the inside corner. 6 up, 6 down for Jurgens. Braves looking for more, leading 2-0.
Experience all the comfort and amenities you expect at an unexpectedly low price. Jamison Inn. Live large, pay less.
With my partners Joe Simpson and Brian Jordan, Chip Carey back at Turner Field. Good start for the Braves. 2-0 your score on homers from Prado and McLeod. And now Freddie Freeman goes to work. Alex Gonzalez is our Delta Airlines on deck hitter. Then David Ross, the Braves catcher.
Freddie Freeman only hitting .067 in his homestand. Really starting to struggle, Joe. Had a chance to talk to Larry Parrish before the game, and it looks like that front side is jumping out there. He's a little conscious on the inside pitch and trying to pull everything, over swinging.
Well, he's like Jason Hayward. He likes the ball away from him a little more, and he dives into the plate some. But earlier in the season when he was diving in, that front shoulder wasn't the first thing that moved after that to pull open, and now it is.
Third strikeout for Blanton.
May be a case where they've got to split Uggla and Freeman because they're both cold right now. Split them up somewhere in the lineup. These uniforms are great, and there are some guys that just the uniforms fit. Some guys were born to wear that uniform. How about our boy TP down there in his bright socks and stirrups? No.
No, not Brian.
That's a TP yes. That's a Brian no.
Speaking of no, that's what Polanco said on that hot shot off Alex's bat. He's a good defensive player. And a quick second out.
Good to see Alex Gonzalez, though, hit the ball hard. Starting to figure it out, starting to relax at the plate, get that confidence. And the Braves are going to need him. And I'm really surprised, Joe, that he's not hitting either fifth or sixth today. I mean, he looked so good yesterday.
I think he's going to have to make like I said, he's going to have to split Uggla and Freddie right now, and Alex would be a good choice.
Three homers, 8 RBIs for David Ross.
Back to your comment real quick, Brian, about Chipper playing today, day game after night game. Freddie doesn't like to give McCann and Chipper a day off on the same day. So it could be we see Chipper with a day off tomorrow. Remains to be seen. Going to have to face Halladay. Chipper may want to jump in there and see how he does.
Yeah, this is game number 41 for the Braves. And some might be surprised to know that Chipper's played in 39 of them.
And I was just about to say that. I mean, it seems like Chipper's been playing an awful lot. He's not taking many days off. And I know the competitiveness in Chipper. If he has a bad day today, I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing tomorrow.
Yeah, we're at the quarter pole.
Quarter of the way through the season. Can you believe it? And in case you wonder, Chipper against Roy Halladay, 5 for 10 with 2 homers.
That's another reason to play.
Well, let's worry about today and see if we can get the series even, and then go to work on the Phillies again tomorrow afternoon. That'll be the Delta Civil Rights game. Folks, if you haven't made your plans to join us, it's going to be a spectacular day at Turner Field tomorrow.
Yeah, get here early.
Yeah. Our coverage starts an hour before first pitch. Commissioner Bud Selig will be here. Henry Aaron will be here. Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks. Ross earns a walk. That'll clear the pitcher, Jair Jurgens.
Jair was interesting. His on deck circle was over there right in front of the entrance into the dugout. Just in case David Ross sliced one foul over to the on deck circle, he wanted to be clear of that.
He's not taking any chances of being injured this year. I don't blame him.
I think that goes to what you were talking about him a minute ago, Brian, about his confidence. He's healthy. He's willing to throw that fastball more often and challenge hitters.
And he ropes his first hit right up the middle.
How about these pitchers?
All of a sudden,
Christian Martinez hit a double yesterday, and Jair single right up the middle.
He was 0 for 13.
That guy was an unsung hero last night.
It's a shame he didn't walk away with the victory. He did everything he could to help the Braves win.
Thing of beauty. So chance to add on here with 2 outs. Martin Prado, 2 on, has already homered today.
Joe, we talked about it earlier about great players making adjustments and how back in the day when we played the game in the 80s and 90s, guys made adjustments. They didn't stay the same. And today, you see only certain guys making adjustments. Prado is a great example. He got off to a slow start. You see him come early every day to the ballpark. He spreads out with 2 strikes. He's willing to make the adjustments. You got to figure, why is it not a common thing for all players?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I could get into the heads of some of the guys and find out why. But everybody only has one place to stand in the box and only one stance. And there were days where you would face a real good, well-known sinker baller. Well, everybody was encouraged to move up in the front of the box, take something away from him, make him uncomfortable, make the pitcher uncomfortable, where maybe you get that sinker a little before it sinks. That doesn't happen anymore. Everybody's still on the back line.
Toward third, Polanco diving play, goes the short way and gets Jurgens. He knew who was running.
What a play.
What a play indeed. Polanco, a diving stop. That ends the Braves' second. Sports and Outdoors, by Joel and Associates, and by Hyundai. Sun-splashed crowd at Turner Field has seen the Braves jump out to a 2-run lead. Jair Jurgens has 6 up, 6 down, and will face the lower part of their order, starting with Wilson Valdez. Again, all the jerseys used by the Braves and Phillies are being auctioned off for charity today. Each jersey will be signed by the player after the game. Those jerseys are available for bidding right now at Braves.com/jersey auction. Just so you all know, in full disclosure, Brian Jordan has been bidding away. He's driven up the price of Chipper's jersey to $1,000 already.
Really?
Wow.
Work it. Does Brian know that?
He does now.
I stopped my bidding now. Thanks, guys.
So the Philadelphia Stars uniforms, the Atlanta Black Crackers uniforms today at Turner Field. And here's Wilson Valdez, signed oh so long ago out of the Dominican Republic as an undrafted free agent by the Expos.
Huh.
He seems to be the only one in this lineup who's had success versus Jair. He's hitting .556, 5 for 9.
Joe mentioned Chase Utley and where he may bat for the Phillies club. One thing that Valdez and Pete Orr have given Philadelphia is real good defensive play at second base in Utley's absence.
And that's first and foremost when you've got a guy out for a lengthy stretch like that. Just field the ball. We got some other guys that can hit. You get a few hits for us along the way, that's a bonus. Brian, to finish your thought though on the adjustments that hitters don't seem to want to make these days, are kind of stubborn. You were talking between innings about guy used to watching how many changes he'd make.
Yeah, well, being from Baltimore, I grew up watching Cal Ripken, and we all know he had about 1,000 different stances, and that's the way I learned. I learned, hey, it depends on how my body feel or who's out there pitching. Some days I got to spread out, keep my shoulder down, stay low, and sometimes I want to stand up. But, you know, it's as long as you're comfortable and you make adjustments, you'll be successful.
Alex at short. 7 up, 7 down for Jurgens. Here's our Jamison in upcoming schedule. Roy Halladay, Tim Hudson. Not only the on-field extravaganza, but a great pitching matchup for the series wrap-up.
Possible 2 future Hall of Famers if they can continue to stay healthy and end their careers out. So it's going to be a great matchup. Civil rights game, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, and weather's supposed to be great too, so there are good seats still available. Come on out and join us.
Dane Sardinia out of King Kamehameha High School in Hawaii. And Pepperdine University gets the start today. He's batting .231 for the year.
I learned something the other day about Long Beach State now being called the Dirt Bags. I was just thinking about King Kamehameha. Are they like the surfer dudes, or?
We'll get Chan on that, partner. My in-depth research didn't quite go that deep.
We'd like to know the nickname of King Kamehameha High School in Honolulu.
I'm going to guess the Islanders.
That would be good. Yeah.
Good guess.
But I bet you I'm wrong. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Chan would like to know how to spell that, Chip.
Starts with a K.
You're on your own. Part.
You're on your own, Chan. Again, there's only so much research one can put in. Oh, man. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Uh-oh, man down.
So 2 flying Hawaiians in this Philly lineup today.
There you go.
Shane Victorino.
Aloha, 2 outs.
Yes, he did.
Here's Joe Blanton. He's out of Franklin Simpson High School in Kentucky.
And the University of Kentucky Wildcats.
We know that.
Not a bad hitter.
This guy was a #1 pick by the Oakland Athletics back in 2002.
They got him at the trading deadline a few years ago, helped get them into the playoffs and pitched well for them in the division series against Milwaukee. And since he became a Philly, he's 26-16, good numbers.
Yeah, down the stretch that year, Joe, his ERA wasn't particularly good, but they needed wins, and he gave them that.
Yeah, and I think they've got a decision to make pretty soon, depending on how he continues to pitch, because Kyle Kendrick is pitching so well in spot starter duty.
Jurgens has retired the first 9 he has seen today. Braves 2, Phillies nothing in the heart of the order coming up. As we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning, here's our Coors Light Cold Hard Blast.
Nothing like starting the ball game with a homer unless you start the game with 2 homers.
How about Nate McLeod? Last night, didn't get a chance to swing the bat. 3 sacrifice bunts. Well, today is a different day.
Last time the Braves leadoff men, first and second, hit back-to-back homers to start a game was May 28, 2003. Rafael Furcal and Mark DeRosa against the Reds.
Nate pops this one up. You saw Rollins battling the high sky and gave way to Ibanez, who bailed him out. 1 out.
Yeah, in that first inning when Shane Victorino popped up, you can see Gonzalez kind of fighting off that sun. Could be a problem in his next couple of innings.
Chipper singles on the first pitch. Big turn. He's going to try to double. The throw. Late. I guess that right knee's feeling okay today, huh?
Love the hustle.
Right out of the box, he saw it was going to be a double. It could have been an out, but he got to take the chance early in the game, and Chipper showing that he still has the speed.
Very nice. Make those outfielders think twice about dawdling getting the ball in.
RBI chance for Eric Hinsky now. Eric bounced out.
And then you got the young guys on the bench watching that.
Yeah, right.
Chipper, 39 years old, getting out of the box hard. We saw the other day when Gonzalez hit a ball and didn't run
Yeah.
out of the box and got thrown out at second base. And that's the way you play the game.
506 doubles now for Chipper Jones. He already passed Robbie Alomar on the doubles list by switch hitters. Next in the sights is Eddie Murray, who has 560 of them. Ryan Howard. Chipper to third, 2 out.
By the way, Chip, on that day when Furcal and DeRosa led off the game with homers back in 2003, the Braves actually hit 3 in a row to start the game that day. Gary Sheffield also went deep.
Here's Ugla. Dan struck out his first time up. Off the end of his bat to short. Close play, but Howard the stretch, and that will retire the side. Dan made contact, but the Braves can't add to a 2-run lead early. By Academy Sports and Outdoors, the right stuff and the low price. Jair Jurgens perfect through 3. Braves led off the game with 2 solo homers, try to even up this series, had a game apiece, and as we showed in the open, fellas, even up this season series at 4-4.
Those numbers in on that graphic about how these two teams have matched up since 2009 are really mind-boggling. And that one line, like Brian said, who would have thought that the Braves have actually hit more homers than the Reds, or than the Phillies, excuse me, over that period.
Just add 2 more to that number.
Yeah, 46 to 41 now.
Better ERA, better batting average, more homers, but 1 less win for the Atlanta club. But a chance to even it up today as Jurgens faces Rollins, Victorino, and Polanco in the 4th. Look at the numbers of Jimmy Rollins and the career achievements he has put together. The Phillies' long-standing National League club. Rollins is 3rd in Phillies history in doubles, 4th in triples, 4th in steals, 4th in runs scored, 6th in hits, and 7th in games played all time. Years for the Philly shortstop. And Forces a full count pitch. Ten in a row, one out.
Brian, I think we can have this dialogue as the game goes on. It's not something that has to be this inning or next, but you and I have been talking the last couple of days before the game about inner city youth, primarily African American involvement in baseball, compared to I'll say the numbers of African American baseball players when I was playing. And I was talking to Gary Matthews about this before the game too, how it was probably at least a third, if not more, black players in the major leagues compared to now. It's about 8%. Yeah. The reasons why, hard to put a finger on, but there are some explanations.
You know what? It starts when you're young, and the game of baseball is a patient sport. And so many young kids, they want instant gratification. If the kids don't, the parents want it for them. And a lot of parents want to live their dreams through their kids. And, you know, when I grew up in Baltimore, I was at Lyndhurst Elementary School. There were no baseball fields around.
Fly to left. 2 out.
There were no baseball fields. There was a black top out there with a basketball hoop, and we could play kickball on it. So already at that early age, all I saw was basketball. And you look at Michael Jordan, it's all about marking. What kids see, they got to visualize. And you don't see Hank Aaron on a commercial flying through the sky, hitting a home run. So black kids don't identify with that. So all they see is basketball, football, instant gratification. And unless your parents are there for you to hold you by the hand and introduce you to baseball, it's just, it's not going to happen. And it's a shame. It's a shame, but I know Major League Baseball is trying to do something about it. But it's so many factors. You know, you can talk about the NCAA, how in baseball they only have 11.7 scholarships. So the good athlete who can play baseball and play football, you only can get a scholarship in football, full scholarship.
Full ride.
And a lot of kids need that full ride nowadays. So many factors of why we only have 8% African Americans in the game of baseball now.
Well, we were talking about this too, and I was talking about it with Gary Matthews, and that is that in those days, back when Gary and I played, for an athlete to go to the NBA or to the NFL, they had to play 4 years. They had to play 4 years in college basketball, or they had to play 4 years in college football before they could get drafted. They don't have to anymore. They know that they can come out of high school, play 1 year, and go to a major sport, major league sport. So there is that quick payback.
Right, and that just changed, Joe, because in basketball you could have went right out of high school, but to me, you change that rule and only have to go 1 year. That's a waste. I mean, guys are just going to enroll in college, never show up for class, and go to the NBA. So I agree. I mean, until NBA and all sports start changing their rules and making kids get an education and stand for 4 years, we're going to continue to see this downward swing of African Americans in the Major League Baseball.
And that might be a selling point if those rules were changed.
And again,
a selling point for baseball, where a kid who is a pretty good athlete, and he says, okay, I can go to college for 3 or 4 years, or I can start my professional career now and play professional baseball and already begin working my way up.
I mean, that was a selling point for me. Get a free education. My dad and mom made sure they pushed education and opportunity, and that was important.
We'll talk some more about it.
Jurgens strikes out Polanco. 12 up, 12 down. part by SunTrust, by AT&T Uverse, by McDonald's, and by Toyota. Freddie Freeman leads things off for the Braves in the fourth. Atlanta 2 homers starting the game. Braves have 4 hits. And Freddie, strikeout victim his first time, puts this one in play up the middle and has his first safety of the day. Alex Gonzalez hits.
Maybe that'll get him going. He was in an 0 for 13 slide.
And that has to feel good. And you can see he didn't try to overswing. He just wanted to put the ball in play somehow, some way, and just used his hands right up the middle. And he kept that front shoulder down.
Let's go outside. Second row.
Strike one to Alex Gonzalez.
Freddie's one of those guys that looks at home in this uniform. Has a little bit of a Joe Adcock look.
Well, I know we're celebrating the Negro Leagues with the old-fashioned uniforms. When you think of the old-time uniforms, the news of Harmon Killebrew yesterday came across the wires. Great Minnesota Twin, Washington Senators great, is entering hospice care for esophageal cancer. And was a teammate of Charlie Manuel's in Minnesota. Killebrew, one of the great sluggers in baseball history. Ibanez in left gives ground. Freeman back to first with 1 man down.
Yeah, it's a real shame, and we send Harmon and his family our best. I remember Charlie reciting one time for me when he was when he wrote this when he was a rookie with the Twins. I don't remember if it was a poem or a little song, but about how he pinch hit for Harmon Killebrew, and how the killer was told to sit down and let the grinder come to the plate. He said, then I woke up from the dream.
Charlie, in a story in the Philly newspapers today, recounted how when he first got to the Twins, his locker was right next to Harmon Killebrew's, and how thrilling that was. Spring days in Orlando, Florida, where the Twins used to train, they'd go fishing, and Killebrew would sit in the boat, and Charlie would have a chain around the bow of the boat and pull him out in the middle of the stream, because Harmon was afraid of alligators, Charlie said.
Don't blame him. Brian, back to our conversation. What can be done better to try to encourage more black youth to play baseball?
I think it's important that Major League Baseball step up their marketing, because, like I said, black kids have to identify. They have to see. And for me as a young kid, all I saw was the Michael Jordans and the great basketball players on TV. So that was my favorite sport growing up, believe it or not. Just my dad and my parents kept my options open. They made me play the game of baseball. They taught me how, looking at the Negro Leagues, learning your history, and that, they had the resources to keep me in the game. And that's been a problem, too. As we all know, it's an expensive sport. As you see, David Ross goes down on strikes. But it's a very expensive sport. I mean, inner city families cannot afford the travel. They cannot afford the equipment. So I think it's going to be important that Major League Baseball team up with former African-American athletes who are involved in the community and help them push the game of baseball, because they have to see it and they have to be taught it and teach them their options outside of basketball, football. Yes, you got to be patient, but it will pay off in the end, and kids need to hear that over and over and over.
I think the Braves have done a good job of that. in Atlanta with fields and equipment.
And they have, and they've helped myself and Marquise Grissom out a whole lot in the community, and I want to thank them for that, and we continue to have a great relationship and try to change this game.
Yeah, Major League Baseball has the RBI program, Reviving Baseball in the Inner Cities, is what that acronym stands for. Years ago, Ken Griffey Jr. was really the iconic African-American player in the game. Jr. is now retired. Who will grab that mantle in Major League Baseball? Jason Hayward certainly has a chance in Atlanta. We mentioned Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins, for example, for the Phillies, CC Sabathia, Ricky Weeks, Matt Kemp in Los Angeles.
You know, in some ways, though, Chip, in Jason's case, he's just getting his career going.
Right.
He's got to get his feet under him.
Yes.
And there's so much kind of being put on his shoulders that in a way it's somewhat unfair from me looking in that, you know, he shouldn't have to carry all of this with him and be the guy.
Couldn't agree more.
You're
Give him
exactly
a chance.
right. You're
Give him
exactly
a chance to
right.
get going.
You're exactly right, Joe. And, you know, I had a conversation with him, and I said, look, you stay focused on the game because everybody's going to be ripping at you. You got to get your numbers and learn this game. That should be your first and foremost. And, you know, just last year, that whole experience of catching Hank Aaron's and then hitting that home run, you knew then this kid is going to have a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And, again, down to 8%, he doesn't have that other player to lean on here in Atlanta, being the only African-American representation, you know, on the field.
He's a bright kid. I mean, he's beyond bright, and he's baseball bright, too. And he's certainly aware and knows what's, I'll say, inherent in where he is and his role as a role model. He knows that stuff. He understands it.
And he has a great parents.
Little flare to right, but Ben Francisco will catch. And that will retire the side. Good discussion, fellas. On we go to the fifth inning. Still a 2-0 Braves lead. Howard, Ben Francisco, and Raul Ibanez are coming up. And let's see if Brian's got his thinking cap on today, partners. The AT&T U-verse trivia question. Ryan Howard's 103 career RBIs against the Braves, third most ever by a Phillies player. Joe, another multiple guess question. Can you name the top two?
I got to go with Mike Schmidt.
Yeah.
There's one of them. Played 18 years. You figure he racked up a few against Atlanta, even though they weren't in the same division in those days.
I feel like guessing Carlos Ruiz because every time we play him. But I know that's not the right answer. How did Darren Dalton hit against the Braves?
Pretty good.
Pretty good, but I can't see 103 RBIs.
No.
Now, we mentioned the Phillies have been around a long time. Remember, the Braves were the Boston Braves and the Milwaukee Braves, so this might go back.
Yeah, it might be Johnny Callison
to the pre-Atlanta era of the Braves franchise.
It's going back beyond my time, guys.
We'll try to help you out.
I'll be jumping on your back on this one.
All right, so you're going to stay with Mike Schmidt, right? I am. You're going to stick with that? Okay. That's got to be one of them. Here's Howard. Again, the shift on.
And again, trying to keep him tied up inside. You know, we hear pitchers talk all the time about trying to change a hitter's eye level, and it's valid. You think about the first at bat he had today, and he's getting all these pitches in on his belt that are under his hands. He can't even see the pitches that well. And then he chased the ball up out of the zone because he could see it. Jair changed his eye level and got a strikeout.
I know, Joe, you've talked about the rocking horse forward back. When you have the up and down, Brian, real tough to hit, right?
It is.
Popped him up.
There's that sun.
And Alex has it. Chipper was there just in case.
Chipper had a better angle. That's why he was offering some assistance.
He did. Great communication there.
All the jerseys worn by today's players and coaches are being auctioned off for charity. Each jersey will be signed by the players after the game, and it's available for bidding right now at Braves.com/jersey auction. The proceeds go for the King Foundation. They're building a monument to the Reverend Martin Luther King with private donations up in Washington, D.C. It's a great bit of philanthropy. We'll check and see what Brian's latest bid on Chipper's jersey is.
Just love the way Jurgens is going about his business today.
And he's moving that ball around.
He
Inside,
really
outside, up, down. Just missed with that pitch.
There's a pretty good spot.
In the air, left center. McLouth and Prado, a near collision. Nate was calling for it, and Prado caught it.
Well, that's been a problem, and I think Nate McLouth being so quiet, he gets himself in trouble there. I mean, you got to yell it out so your outfielders, you got the fans screaming and yelling, so you got to be really vocal out there in center field. We saw last year when Jason and him collided, got the concussion, so he's going to have to communicate a lot better than he has.
You know, I'd be yelling a whole lot louder after that collision.
That's right.
It's not enough. We could see Nate holding his glove up in case Martin looked at him to let him know that he had it. But when Martin's looking up into the sun and he's tracked the ball, he's not going to take his eye off the ball.
You're right.
The sun's too tough right now, so he doesn't have time to look over and see if Nate's got his glove in the air.
Ball one, strike one to Raul Ibanez, who struck out looking in the second. These are fun days, aren't they? Look at that view for an outfielder. Ugla at second. 15 up, 15 down for Jair Jurgens. A special performance working on a special day in Atlanta. at Turner Field. And the top of the order coming up for the Braves. And here's our Sunshine House leaderboard. It starts with Martin Prado.
Had his 16th multi-hit game last night. He could take the lead with this at bat. Jose Reyes having a good year for the Mets too, guys. I mean, kind of quietly because they're in last place in the division, but he's also going to be a free agent, so all of a sudden his numbers pretty good.
Hey, don't sleep on those Mets. They've been red hot also.
Some published reports, fellows, said today with Carlos Beltran hitting 3 homers the other day in Colorado that he's got some trade marketability all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Another shot in the air. This one will be caught by Victorino. That's our 18-20. 7.5 games out of first place. They and the Nationals identical records. Try to catch the Braves, Marlins, and Phillies.
Okay, so they've lost 20 games. You're right, Brian. That's one more loss than Atlanta.
Exactly. I mean, they're 15-7 in their last 22 games. So they're starting to get hot, starting to get healthy.
Yeah, Johan Santana's starting to throw a little bit off the mound. They expect him back at some point this year.
You know, there's players like Santana that are hurt and are hurt for long periods of time, and I miss them. They don't play for Atlanta, but I miss seeing them pitch. I miss the competition of playing against those guys. I miss seeing Ryan Zimmerman rather play for the Nationals when they were in town.
Tell you who I miss, Strasburg.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yep.
Just to see the fans fill the stadium and a young kid just dominate.
Nationals are on their way, I think.
They are.
Zimmerman, Strasburg.
Give Mike Rizzo a lot of credit. He's starting to slowly build that team up to being very competitive.
Blanton paints the outside corner. He looks like a much different pitcher, as you mentioned, Brian, than the first 2 hitters of this game.
Well, he's keeping the ball down in his zone, that fastball, and he's changing speeds a lot. After giving up back-to-back home runs with the fastball up, that'll change your mind real quick on how you approach hitters.
A hustle double for Chipper last time. Braves trying to avenge a tough loss to Swallow last night, even up the series, and then match up Tim Hudson and Roy Halladay here tomorrow. Then we'll get our first look at the Houston Astros Monday night, Tuesday afternoon. Then we head west.
Braves might miss Jared Weaver in their first interleague action when they go take on Anaheim. Not sure how that's going to work out specifically. Oh, good cut. But I know Weaver pitched last night, and I was just trying to add up the days, and the Braves might miss him, which wouldn't be a bad thing.
Angels in first place in the AL West. A half-game lead over Texas. Again, Chipper drives a ball to center. And Victorino tracks that down. Blanton's retired 6 straight, but trails by 2 after 5. 15 down to start this game. Leads by a pair, and that's part of our Zaxby's indescribably good plays.
Got that good sinker working again, that good Johnny Venters grip sinker, and locating his fastball. Their pitcher's due up third, Chip, and with that, J.C. Romero is loosening up in their pen.
Kick save. Canugla recover. Valdez can fly, and they got it.
Wow. Great instincts by Ugla.
I didn't think he could get enough on his throw.
I just hope Jair's not injured on that play. Good concentration by Freddie Freeman.
Our Toyota play of the game and a beauty.
Here's Sardina. Proud graduate of Kamehameha High School, and their team name is the Warriors.
Ah, okay. Got the Rainbow Warriors over there too, so okay, I got it. Where'd this ball get him, Brian?
Ooh, looked like the front of his shoe. And he's going to have to keep moving before that big toe stiffens up. But he has that glue over. Yeah. Hopefully it hit the glue spot.
The old days pitchers wore those metal plates that were a pitching toe. They were actually screwed into the sole of the shoe. Nowadays you just see that hard plastic or molded whatever that is that's adhered to the shoe, and it comes from the factory, so it's nice.
Well, let's hope it worked.
Yeah.
Back in our Little League days, you could always tell the kid that pitched.
Yeah, with the
He'd
plate.
be the kid with either the plate or a big hole in the front of his shoe.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Two balls, two strikes. Well, the history of baseball is filled with guys whose name is synonymous with a great pitch. Mariano Rivera and his cut fastball, for example.
And you know it's coming, and you still can't do anything about it.
Who knows if someday baseball will be told of the tales of Johnny Venters' sinker.
Yeah. Man, he is painting.
He is painting, and he's keeping the ball down in the zone.
Michael Martinez will indeed bat for Blanton in the sixth.
When he's pinch hit before, he's been up there hacking at that first pitch.
Well, he should have been hacking at that first pitch.
He got a good one.
That's one thing Gerald Perry taught me. When I go in the game as a pinch hitter, you got to be aggressive.
He was. And Martinez rips one into right center field. Big turnaround first. And he'll stop there. So Jair Jurgens, 5 2/3 innings, perfect. Gets a standing O.
Little reminder from his veteran third baseman too to shake that off and get right back to business, because with the top of the order coming up for the Phillies, you didn't just lose your perfect game, you can lose the lead real fast here if you don't stay with your concentration.
You're right, Joe. Good leadership by Chipper. He's been around a long time. He knows how this game can change quickly.
I'm not comparing Jurgens to Greg Maddux, at least not yet. But Greg always said that he would probably never throw a no-hitter, which he didn't because he threw too many strikes. And you could make the same case for Jair. He's around the plate, he's hitting spots, but he doesn't walk a lot of guys. He's not conveniently wild.
We talk all the time too, fellas, about how hitters make adjustments. How about Jurgens adding that sinker or the grip that changed his sinker? In the air, Hinske on the run, still going back. That's off the base of the wall. Martinez around third is going to get the green light. Rollins is going to try for 3. Freeman's got him in a rundown. And Rollins tried to run into Chipper Jones to get an interference call, but he's out of the baseline, and the Phillies are out of the 6th inning. It'll be a double and an RBI that scores Martinez. And now the Phillies and Braves a 1-run game.
Foot of Martin Prado hitting against that firm front side. His ankle's actually rolling over a little bit. Now watch the same thing on Nate McLeod. He didn't come up off that front foot or heel.
Staying balanced. So
very nice. Very nice. Both of them. Home runs leading off the game. That's our Coors Light Freeze Cam, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Well, the first 2 hits for the Phillies give them their first run. And now we've got a battle on our hands. Braves scored 2 with their first 2 hitters. And now we'll go to work against tough left-hander J.C. Romero, man who had some trouble last night, but the Braves couldn't take advantage late.
Yeah, he was in all kinds of trouble. Bases loaded, 1 out, and the Braves didn't score. He lucked out last night.
It turned out good. He ended up walking Brian McCann. Our 5-6 hitters just couldn't get the job done.
And those hitters are coming up in this inning. First, it's the cleanup man, Eric Hinske, then Dan Uggla and Freddie Freeman. Eric 0 for 2.
And that story about Blanton having trouble early but then settling down was, again, today another good example of that.
Up, back our way, and a strike to Eric Hinske. Haven't even talked at all tonight about Brandon Beachy. He's the man that started the game for the Braves last night. Left after a couple of innings with an oblique injury. He looked a little tender this morning, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think it's good.
That's a tough injury for any baseball player. Hitters, pitchers. When you can't twist your body, you'll be shut down for a while.
As far as I know, while the game has begun, the Braves haven't made a roster decision about Beachy.
Well, we know they've got to do something with Scott Proctor per his contract on the 15th, which is tomorrow. I don't know if that'll come into play here or if the Braves will DL Beachy and then add a position player. How that's all going to work. It'd be nice to have another guy on the bench.
Well, they go on the road. They got a couple off days, so I don't think they're in a hurry to make a decision on a starter, because now you can, after you look at Hanson, who had 6 days rest, all of a sudden you get these pitchers back on schedule.
Right.
So we'll know more either after the game today, certainly by tomorrow, as the Braves hope to have a chance to win the series outright against the Phillies. Two kindred spirits watching this game. From the Braves dugout, Chris Medlin and Peter Moylan.
Beachy's spot comes up again the first day in Arizona. But again, like you're saying, Brian, it might be somebody could work on short rest there, because his next turn would come up on the off day between Anaheim and Pittsburgh.
To second. One out. Again, all the jerseys used by both the Braves and Phillies today are being auctioned for charity. Each will be signed by the player after the game, and it's available for bid right now. Braves.com/jersey auction.
The nice thing is the depth in the minor leagues on an occasion like this. You hate what has happened to Brandon, but the way some of those guys are pitching, and you've seen them firsthand, Brian. I mean, whether it's Minor or Rodrigo Lopez or Julio Teheran.
Right. It's a good problem to have if you're Frank Wren. So many options. Not a lot of ball clubs got a lot of options like the Braves do as far as starting pitching. And Teheran looked pretty good versus Philadelphia in his first career start.
Yeah, for a guy 20 years old pitching in Philadelphia against the division winners, yeah, I'd say he did real well.
Three balls and a strike.
Here's where teams are not giving in to Uggla. They're not throwing him a fastball 3-1 automatic. They're throwing him something off speed or a breaking ball, and they call for a fastball.
He missed his spot by a foot, but still got enough of the plate. Dan aboard with a one-out walk.
3-2 changeup instead of the 3-1.
And that's a positive sign for Uggla. He sat back, he saw the pitches, not out there on that front foot.
Freddie 1 for 2 today.
Got a good pitch to hit there.
And I like his aggressiveness there. Last at bat got a single up the middle. Only his second hit of this homestand. He was 1 for 15 before then.
Deep short. Rollins to second, safe. Charlie Manuel's going to come out and argue this one.
Outstanding hustle by Dan Uggla. When you're struggling, you got to do everything else right. He's playing good defense, showing great hustle there. That was a close play.
Charlie didn't waste any time coming out to talk to Gary Darling. Great play by Rollins just to make it close.
Wow. That ball may have beat him there.
Romero argues in vain, and one look back at the second base umpire as he again is taken out of this game. This time it's in the 6th. Braves threatening, 2 on, 1 out. Phillies back in their bullpen. See if Alex Gonzalez can get one airborne. Be nice. Tough customer, though, greets him out of the Phillies pen.
This guy's having a good year. 10 games total, 1 start. That was against Atlanta. And as you know, he always pitches well against the Braves and beat them. A 1.42 ERA. But check it out there. Only 5 strikeouts in 19 innings and a 190 average against him. He's not striking anybody out. People are putting it in play, and everybody's making the plays behind him.
Well, Alex Gonzalez 0 for 2, but he's hit 2 balls pretty hard.
And 0 for 8 against Kendrick in his career. A walk and an infield hit with 1 out. And a high fly, left center field. Victorino going back at the wall. Just enough room. Uggla tags, and they're at the corners, 2 out.
Boy, I thought he got it.
He got it airborne, but he hit it to the wrong side.
Got a good curveball up in the zone. Just missed it.
He thought he got it too.
If he'd hit it to the delta sign, would have been gone. Much easier said than done, though. Put a charge in it. Now David Ross hits. Jurgen's spot is due next. David lays down a bunt, and a run's going to score. David Ross bunts home Dan Uggla, and nobody in the ballpark expected that.
Nope.
I've seen him do it before. Just a smart veteran play. Guy who's been around a long time, third baseman playing back. And the pitcher has to make a great play. And for a big guy, Ross runs pretty well. So you got to get rid of that ball quick.
That was just a really smart play right there. With the third baseman back, you don't have to make it perfect either, and he didn't.
And now Jurgens bats for himself.
Everybody appreciating that heads-up play. Love it.
It's a little old-fashioned baseball where everybody can lay down a bunt.
If there are all the runners left on base last night, you got to get them in any way you can.
It's the first hit with runners in scoring position today for Atlanta.
That's right.
That's right. The first two runs were solo home runs to start things.
That's why David Ross is just so valuable to this team.
And that bunt gives him a 4-game hitting streak. And more importantly, a 3-1 Braves lead. Strike for Jurgens. 1-2.
Attaboy. Behind the count, he choked up on the bat a little bit. Even Jair's trying to just put it in play, put a little pressure on the defense, maybe find a hole like he did his first time up.
And again, we got to give Dan Uggla a lot of credit. Got the walk, a hustle play, gets Freddie Freeman his second hit of the ball game, and then got over to third base, scored the run.
Like you said, Brian, got to do some of the little things if you're not hitting. That was some excellent base running all around.
And a close call also went the Braves' way. Remember, Uggla got the benefit on that headfirst slide to help keep the inning working for the Braves bats.
Good at bat for Jair. Christian Martinez had to pump up the pitching staff.
Everybody was proud.
Last night,
yeah.
that double.
Runners go, and Jurgens walks.
Good things happen when a pitcher walks.
This was Martin in the first inning, leading off the game. He had a grand slam here just a couple of nights ago against Washington.
I would love to see that first inning swing right now.
Line drive, right center field. Freeman scores. Ross gets the green light. He will score. A 3 RBI day for Prado, and the Braves break the game open. It's 5-1.
There's that multi-hit game we were looking for. He now takes the league lead in that category with 17. Got a hanging slider that was up, didn't he?
Up in his zone, breaking away from Prado, and he just went right with it. Line drive center field. How about Jair Jurgens getting over to third base on that play?
Well, we know he can run. before his leg injury last year, everybody was talking about how he might be the fastest guy on the team.
Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot is the Braves leadoff man, Martin Prado.
Stay high.
He is tearing it up this homestand.
Chipper Jones talked last night about how the 7th inning missed call was deflating for the Braves. You got to think the questionable call at second, the Ross bunt, has to be deflating for the Phillies. Braves have scored 3 times.
Well, the call aside, which suddenly is kind of evened out after last night.
Another thing in the series that's even?
Yeah. The Ross bunt was just awesome. That might have fired everybody up a little bit more. Good cut. They backdoored Nate for an out, a strikeout, a call strikeout his last time up. That was against Blanton, and Nate didn't like the call, but you figured they might try to go back to that. Maybe with one of Kendrick's sliders to the outside corner.
Inside corner, and he took it for a called third strike. The Braves, though, score 3 times. They do that on 3 hits. The big blow, a little bunt off the bat of David Ross, and Atlanta leads it 5-1. Now it's a 5-1 Braves lead. Back to the AT&T U-verse trivia question. Brian's had long enough to think this one out. 103 career RBIs for the Phillies first baseman, 3rd most by a Phillies player. Name the 2 men in front of him on that list.
I'm going Mike Schmidt and Del Ennis.
I'm with you on Schmidt. I'm going to say Richie Ashburn. You got a guess, Brian?
I'm going to jump on Joe's back right here.
Oh, you should have. That's right.
Sweet. Sorry, Chip.
No, I just, for the record, Tom Glavine buzzed Joe with the answer to the trivia question on the sub. No, I'm just kidding.
Not true.
Not true. Tommy will be here tomorrow to help us cheat on the trivia question.
No, I just went to some of their all-time RBI leaders, and Del Ennis is one of their all-time RBI guys for years, so I figured he had a good shot.
So a good pickup. And Jurgens now with a 4-run lead. try to run his mark to a perfect 5-0 and hand the Phillies their first loss in the daytime this season. That's right. Mentioned that in the open. Phillies 10-0 in day baseball this year. Guys, to tell you how good Jurgen's stuff has been today, he struck out 6 Phillies. Did you know that this Philadelphia team has the fewest strikeouts in the National League at the plate?
I didn't know that.
Me neither.
Oh, look at the range that time. Jurgens to the bag. Got him.
Wow, spectacular play right there by Freddie Freeman.
And Jair a little late getting off the mound, but again, he is really fast and won the foot race. He was extended for that one, Brian.
Yes, he was.
And a good feed.
JJ's also, what, 15, 20 pounds lighter than he was last year?
Yeah.
What a difference 2 hits will make for you on defense. Last night, that same play, we saw Freddie not make that play.
David Ross out to talk to JJ to give him a little breather.
Here's Polanco.
We're talking about him being 10-0, Chip. They also, over the last several years, last 5 years, they've won more road games than anybody in baseball. Last night was their 189th road win in the last 5 years. And this year they are 12-5 on the road.
Popped shallow right. The Diesel's there. And Eric's got it.
Let's take a look at that play last night. You see the excellent play Freddie Freeman just made. Last night I felt like he could have got to this ball and sort of almost in the same spot, and he did not reach out there and make the play. Here's today, almost the exact same spot, and you see the nice backhand, quick reactions, and what a huge out to start the inning.
Good throw too. He put something on that throw. He had to get it to Jurgens in a hurry. There was a play a few weeks ago where Freddie went to his right, kind of laid out for a ball, and he deflected it. He didn't glove it. He deflected it and deflected it away from Ugla, who was really in a good position to field it. And I wonder if that play last night was in his head a little bit, that I'm not sure I can get to it, so I'm going to see if Dan can get it.
Well, Joe, you're probably right, because when I played first base, I almost did the same thing where I had the coach tell me, hey, that's an easy play for the second baseman, and all of a sudden I got tentative.
Howard strokes that one to center field. Will the park hold it? Yes!
Wind almost pushed this away from Nate, but he stayed with it.
Little miscommunication there, but it turned out all right.
Little kick save by Jair, and great effort by Uglin. Freeman stressing out there, getting up, and fired that ball over to Jair.
And a terrific running catch there by Nate on a drive from Ryan Howard that wasn't hit very high, but the wind has shifted, blowing the ball a little bit toward right field, almost blew it away from him.
And at one point, Jurgens retired 17 in a row. He set down the first 17 men he faced before the Phillies struck for their lone run in the 6th inning. And that's the kind of Academy Sports and Outdoors game summary my partners like to see.
All A's. Like it.
I like it.
You never know if it's ever going to go away.
Hope it does in the rest of the homestand.
Right.
So the crowd standing up on a gorgeous afternoon. Take me out to the ball game time as the Braves enjoy a 5-1 lead, try to even up this series, even up the season series with the Phillies. Back at it tomorrow at the ballpark. A great pitching matchup. Tim Hudson will go for the Braves. Roy Halladay, man the Braves have never beaten, will pitch for the Phillies. We will have the broadcast for you an hour before first pitch. A very special Braves live presentation as we honor the civil rights movement. Great players in baseball history. And the Delta Civil Rights game, of course, we mentioned earlier. Hank Aaron, Ernie Banks, Commissioner Bud Selig will be here and join us, we believe, for the broadcast. So haven't made your plans, make your way to Turner Field. There are still very good seats available.
And again, come early. Make sure you're in your seats by 12:30. And another new pitcher for the Phils. Danny Baez on to work his 15th game.
He'll face Chipper Jones, Eric Hinsky, and Dan Uggla.
Guys, this almost feels like a playoff environment right now. Fans getting into it.
Big crowd last night, over 36,000. Probably somewhere in that vicinity today. The great thing today for the fans, they were in the game right away with what Prado and McLeod did, leading off the game with homers.
And the fans got some Atlanta Black Crackers hats as they entered the stadium. And that's a treat.
Fans might remember Danny Baez was a Brave briefly back in 2006. He pitched in 11 games for Atlanta that year. Went to the disabled list, had an appendectomy, didn't pitch the rest of the year for Atlanta. That was in the middle of that couple of year stretch where the Braves were really searching high and low to find a guy who could finish games for them. John Smoltz went back in rotation. They tried Baez, they tried Rietsma, they tried Dan Cole, Bob Wickman. Doesn't look like they're going to have to be searching for quite a while, though.
Good start to the inning. Chipper good at bat, fighting back from that 1-2 count, drawing a walk.
3 walks last night.
Let's see if Eric can get into the hit column. He's 0 for 3 today.
Well, come in there.
That ball spanked into right center field. Victorino's on the run. It's going to bounce over the fence, and that'll be a double.
Joe, that's the second day in a row. We saw Joe Mather hit a ball yesterday that bounced over the wall, causing the Braves a run. And here, Penske drops this ball right center field. Chipper's going to score easy if that ball stays in.
Yeah, good read by Chipper. He saw right away that Victorino wasn't going to run that down, and he was off to the races. Chipper had to stop at third.
Every Philly pitcher that's worked today has been scored upon. Atlanta trying to do the same to Denny Baez. Here's Ugla.
All right, he walked last time up. He's got another RBI opportunity. This is one of those morale builders right here. Get a little confidence back by driving in one or both of these runs. The infielders are halfway in. Anything hit sharply, looks like they're going to come home.
He's hit by a pitch.
You can kind of tell that Ugla was looking for that outside pitch because he was kind of leaning in. And that was just a fastball that just ran in hard.
Hit him in a tender spot, too. That tricep area right below his shoulder. Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, out to talk to Baez. And this was a spot we saw last night, fellas, where the Braves weren't able to capitalize. They could have, I think, handily won the game if they'd just gotten one hit in a key bases loaded second, third opportunity.
The Braves were 2 for 13 last night with runners in scoring position.
And Dan Ugla and Freddie Freeman 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts in this position.
This situation keeps finding them.
Yes, well, it normally does when you're struggling. Well, Freddie Freeman 2 hits today. Thanks on that second hit, Dan Ugla's hustle. But maybe he's relaxed and starting to feel like things are starting to turn around for him.
Bases loaded, nobody out.
If I'm Freddie Freeman, I want that pitch again.
Yeah.
You know, in this situation, the pitcher doesn't want to fall behind. Really, it was just good to see him be aggressive there, even if he fouled it off.
Here's what we knew about Freddie Freeman last year was that he was a gap-to-gap guy. He was a doubles hitter. He wasn't a home run hitter yet. And that's what I like to see him get back to doing, is using the middle of the field. And his first hit today was a base hit back through the middle.
And that's exactly what Larry Purr said. Watching him last year, he used to concentrate on driving the balls in the gap, and this year it seems like he's trying to show his power and pull the ball, and he needs to get back to that gap to gap.
And that's a natural mistake to make for a young hitter, is that you come up here and you see these other guys hitting the ball a mile, and you say, well, I can do that.
Right. It's that ego that we're talking about.
And you don't need to. He's just 1 for his last 18 guys with runners in scoring position with 8 strikeouts. Get that turned around right here, too.
They're coming home. There's one. And Howard the stretch and a double play. He put it in play, but the Phillies turn 2, and the Braves have him second and third now with 2 out.
Play by Wilson Valdez. The ball was hit hard, and with no hesitation, he was going home here. Good throw by the catcher, Dane.
Yeah, that was a good play. And they weren't playing in on the grass. They were halfway, so it was a little bit longer throw for Valdez. And he's got an excellent arm. I remember last year when he was filling in for Rollins, they were talking about there's maybe no peer in the National League at shortstop for his arm.
Now the Phillies are going to walk Gonzalez. And go after David Ross.
Well, that used to make me mad when I was sitting in that batter's box and feel like they disrespect you when they walk the guy intentionally in front of you to load him up with 2 outs. And I hope David Ross has that same attitude and make them pay.
Alex has seen Baez a lot, 2 for 8. According to the stat sheet I have, David's never faced Baez.
Well, he's made the most of his playing time in recent weeks. Remember, he had the 2 home run game out in San Diego. Came home. His next start, he hit another homer. Has a big play today in this ball game with a 2-out bunt.
Does a great job getting that ball down to third base. Polanco playing back. And again, David Ross can get down the line pretty good.
He won't be bunting here. He's going to unbutton his shirt a little bit and see what might happen. How about those numbers for a guy that doesn't play every day?
Howard gives chase, tries to find the ball in the sunshine, and has no play. Strike 1.
Well, that was interesting. We see the flags blowing pretty much straight out toward right center field, but when Brian's hat blew off, the wind was blowing it back to the umpire, back toward the Braves dugout, almost like the wind was kind of circulating a little bit.
Or 2.
He's got a couple of fastballs here. I'm not sure he'll get another one.
Not in the 0-2 count, I wouldn't think.
Popped up. It was a breaking ball, and Howard lost it.
Wow, this is a situation where you normally see those plays and the hitter makes a pitcher pay the next pitch, so hopefully that is the case.
One of the most helpless feelings any ball player can have is you know it's there and you know it's right above you and there's not a thing you can do about it to try and find it.
Only good thing about that, it doesn't hit you.
Yeah, that's it. Had the shades on and everything. There's just nothing you can do when it's right in the sun.
Rollins at short. And that retires the side. Braves load the bases, but the Phillies wiggle out of trouble. And they come up in the 8th, trailing big in Atlanta. Late, good crowd today at Turner Field, but a special one for you. There's our McDonald's fan of the game.
Kansas City Monarchs, one of the great teams in the Negro Leagues.
And the jerseys worn by the Braves and Phillies today, representing the Philadelphia Stars and the Atlanta Black Crackers, are being auctioned off for charity. Each jersey will be signed by the player who wore it after the game. And you can bid on that jersey now at braves.com/jersey auction.
I read the other day some comments from Frank Wren about what he hopes to get minor league managers and pitching coaches to do with some of the pitchers in the minors.
To left, Francisco's the first out.
And I really applauded what I read, which was that Frank wants pitchers to pitch deeper into games. He wants their pitch count. He doesn't mind their pitch count being up around 120 pitches, so that when they get in trouble late in games, they figure out or have to figure out for themselves how to get out of it. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, you want me to get mad at you talking about a pitching coach? Take a guy out in the 7th inning when he's only thrown 95 pitches.
Yes.
And Jair right now at 94 has been in control virtually every pitch of every inning today.
That's surprising, though, Joe. When you got those prospects coming up, usually you see general managers and managers wanting to baby those guys and not throw a lot of pitches.
And I think that's been prevalent throughout baseball in recent years, Brian. But I applauded Frank for saying, oh, I want these guys stretched out a little bit. 120 pitches is not excessive.
And if you think about it, that's a good thing because now your arm is used to it. A lot of guys, they baby, and then when they get to the big leagues, you expect them to extend it out, and that's when you get the injuries.
Yeah.
3-0 count to Ibanez, who's 0 for 2. Might be one sinker to another. The Fenters comes in for the Braves. 3-2.
And with that in mind, Freddie said about Johnny Venters, he's not going to be everyday Johnny. I got to pick my spots to get him some rest. And he's pitched in all but 2 days over the last week. And one of those was an off day. So he's got to find him some days off somewhere.
Well, 2 guys pitching tomorrow. Guys that are not afraid to take the ball and take the game into the 8th or 9th inning. Halladay and Hudson. Jurgens battling on in the 8th against the Phillies today. And all the so-called experts gave the division title to the Phillies by default with that fantastic 5-some rotation they've got. In many categories, it's safe to say the Braves have actually outpitched the Phillies starting staff.
Well, you look at this Eastern Division with Florida Marlins pitching staff pitching so well this year. It's just a very competitive division. A lot of young, good pitchers coming up.
If somebody comes out of the National League East and wins the batting title, they will have earned it, boy.
Yeah.
Hitting in this division.
First walk of the day for Jurgens. Ibanez at first, Valdez in the batter's box. One ball, no strikes. There is one other Eastern game ongoing, and it's another good one. This one in Washington, where the Marlins are playing the Nationals. 1-0 Florida in front in the 9th inning.
I don't think that's Josh Johnson. He's supposed to pitch tomorrow. That is Anibal Sanchez against Livan Hernandez. Good stop.
Nice stop, nice stop.
Well, last week, Josh Johnson faced Roy Halladay, and what a great game. Halladay actually got the loss in a 2-1 ball game.
Like to see more of the same tomorrow.
That's right.
Tim Hudson. Jurgens this year so far, consecutive starts, 100 pitches, then 111, 114, 101. And then last Sunday at Philadelphia, he pitched into the 7th and threw only 91 pitches.
That gets to the heart of what Greg Maddux used to always talk about. We touched on it briefly yesterday. Chipper to his right, can't come up with it. Extra base hit for Valdez. Ibanez will be green lighted, and he will score without a throw to make it a 5-2 game.
That was a good at bat for Valdez. Fouled off some pitches. Fouled one off of David Ross that he couldn't hang on to, and then got one he could handle.
I said if it's any guy in this lineup who hits Jair pretty good, it's Wilson Valdez. And coming into today's, he was hitting .556.
Phillies will go to their bench, take down Sardina. Pete Orr's announced, and Freddie will make the counter move and bring on Johnny Venters. 107 pitches for Jurgens today, and he was outstanding. He set down the first 17, and listen to the ovation as he leaves up 5-2.
Had great stuff from the first inning on. I mean, he had, what was it, 17 in a row, Chip?
Yes.
Had a no-hitter until he gave up a base hit to the pinch hitter Martinez in the 6th.
There's good movement on all his pitches, but more importantly, kept the ball down all day long.
He went 6 1/3 Sunday against Philadelphia, 7 1/3 today. And again, I repeat what I said in our opening comments. You face a team twice in a row in back-to-back starts. You know, that's hard to improve on what you did before if you pitched a good game, because they're going to try to make adjustments on you.
To 107 pitches again today.
So Pete Orr taken down. Carlos Ruiz will bat for him, and promptly gets hit. And that will bring the potential tying run to the plate for Philadelphia.
Anywhere close.
So the AT&T call to the bullpen features Johnny Venters. 1 pitch, 1 base runner, 2 on, 1 out for the Atlanta left-hander. Mayberry 0 for 3 in his career against Johnny. Ross can't find it. That ball darting. And the runners move up. That takes away the double play.
It's 2 pitches just darting down and in on the hitters. I don't know whether he's just holding it too long, Joe.
That's unusual for him to miss to that side. We've seen him miss wildly to the left-handed batter's box before, but not that side.
That was ruled a passed ball. And the count, a ball and a strike.
Not in my scorebook.
And we know that's the one that really counts.
It is official.
Yes. Chipper at third. And Freddie scoop it, yes. I don't know how many runs he saved, but it's more than 10 this year.
I don't know how many errors he's saved, but it's more than 20. Tough play for Chipper to set and throw back. And it wasn't just a little short hop hop into the glove. It's that long short hop.
And he stayed down on it perfectly.
Man, is he good at it.
I think I would have closed my eyes on that ball and prayed that it went in.
Jimmy Rollins now will turn around at right-handed. This is a big out to get. Two balls, no strikes. Interesting choice in the on deck circle for the Phillies with 2 outs.
Yeah, that's Ross Glode. I don't know what's wrong with Victorino, but he's not out there.
Well, right now, I don't know what's wrong with Johnny Venters.
Yeah, and this count scares me. But Jimmy Rollins up there, it's like you said during the pitching change, Brian, it's never easy with the Phillies. Nothing comes easy.
Especially when you got to deal with the top of the lineup.
Line to left. And Prado got there. That ball had some rise to it. And Jurgens will still have a lead. 5-3 now is your score as we head to the home half of inning number 8. John Mayberry stays in the game for Victorino, whose 15-game hit streak will come to a close today. Carlos Ruiz behind the plate. And another young emerging force in that Phillies bullpen, guys, is man pitching Antonio Bastardo.
He also fortunate last night in that inning in which the Braves had the bases loaded and nobody out. He came in with 2 out to face Freddie Freeman and got to a 3-0 count on Freddie. Was on the verge of walking in a run. Came back to strike him out.
A little surprising Victorino's out of the game. He has to be nurturing an injury because you got a hitting streak on the line. And as a competitor, you know, Joe, you're not coming out of the ball game. So it might be something serious.
I didn't notice anything except he's having to run his tail off all day long, gap to gap, wall, running to the wall. So maybe he just ran out of gas.
Or he wants to sign that jersey for the auction before everybody else gets to the locker. So Joe Mather is going to come on and pinch hit for Johnny Venters in the 8th inning. Joe had a good game last night. As mentioned a couple of times that Freddie had a hunch to give Mather a start. And he responded with a couple of doubles, a run scored, a sacrifice, and a strong, accurate throw to the plate that nearly got Ryan Howard. I can't help it. When I see this guy swing, I think Jeff Francoeur.
It's long, very long.
And a comparison that was made early in spring training when people saw him.
He's down on strikes. One away in inning number 8. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Atlanta National League Baseball Club Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Braves.
It's good to see Martin Prado still in the game. He went limping off the field after that catch, final out. And I was a little concerned.
Like he was favoring his right leg.
There's only one thing that'll get him out of a lineup, and that's a pen without ink.
That and a completely torn, what was it, a oblique or
the hip, wasn't it?
That muscle that attaches to his hip.
Right.
I can't remember what it was called.
I don't have one of them, so I don't know what that is.
Come on, Chip, you got a muscle down there. Come on.
There's an old broadcasting saying, Brian, you can't pull fat. 2-0. Now 3 balls, no strikes. Heart of the order's due up for the Phillies in the 9th, so another run or two wouldn't hurt. One out walk, I beg your pardon. Prado's on base for the 3rd time.
He had a hip pointer and a torn external oblique muscle that was torn off the bone.
Wow. See if Nate McLeod can get it going again. He struck out his last 2 at bats. Looking at 3rd strike.
Braves have drawn 6 walks today, guys. And only 1 has scored so far. That was Ugla back in the 6th. Thanks to his good base running.
Braves have left 9 on base, 5 of them in scoring position, but lead by a 5-3 score in the 8th inning.
Left 10 on last night.
One thing I would like to see the Braves do more often is when they get a man on first base, be aggressive, take chances, and steal a base.
They don't have many steals this year.
No, they've only got one place to go, and that's up on that category. Major League average right now is 26 stolen bases per team. The most, the Royals with 47. You see Atlanta's number.
And that's not a tribute to Bobby Cox. Popped up. Mayberry in center. 2 out. Here's Chipper. He's got a 5-game hit streak. Chipper flew out of the box at contact in the 3rd inning and reached second with a double. Also walked in the 7th and was thrown out of the plate on a double play. Into shallow right. Long run. And Francisco gets there to send this game to inning number 9. Braves by 2 with 3 outs left to get. There are some 9th inning changes for the Braves. Jason Hayward is in right field for Atlanta. Remember, it's his non-throwing shoulder that's been the problem. And the AT&T call to the bullpen, Craig Kimbrell.
Let's hope he has that same aggressive attitude he had a couple of nights ago. His last outing against Washington when he came in and struck out the side, and I mean, it seemed like he did it on about 10 pitches. He was just blowing them away.
He trusted that fastball and he went with it.
Ross Globe will greet him first. Then Polanco, then Howard.
This part of the order, so important to get that first guy.
Three pitches, 1 out.
Going right after him, loving it.
Again, Joe, trusting your fastball, just going right after hitters, and that's when he's most successful. The game he struggled, he was going with the curveball and elevating that fastball.
For these major league hitters, when you're behind in the count all the time and you got to throw a fastball, doesn't matter how hard you throw. When they know you're going to have to get a good part of the plate and they can sit on the fastball, they're going to have good swings at it.
Polanco is 0 for 3 today.
Your heart will skip a beat. 94 mile an hour, high and tight.
Don't dig in. Word from the Phillies training room, Shane Victorino with a sore hamstring.
Looked like Polanco ducked under that pitch. I thought that was a strike.
3-0. And that brings the tying run to the plate, and we all know what Ryan Howard has done in his career against Braves pitching.
.36 homers in 109 games.
But there is a bright side. Only hitting 192 coming into today versus the Braves this year.
Make some good pitches.
Howard is 0 for 2 against Craig with a strikeout lifetime. 0-1.
Didn't overthrow that breaking ball. Doubled up on it, which is nice to see, but he wasn't trying to throw it 104 miles an hour, and he got good rotation on it coming out of his hand and just dropped it in there.
Up the middle, chipper, flips to Alex. Can they turn it? The answer no, but they force Polanco. 2 outs.
That force out went 5-6, but from behind the second base bag. And this is almost an impossible turn for Alex from that position.
You just hope you don't get hurt trying to throw the ball like that all arm.
So one more out to get, and Ben Francisco 0 for 3 stands in.
And this is an important out with Raul Ibanez on deck.
Yeah, I know they didn't get the double play, but you got to feel very good about the fact that you got an out on an at-bat from Ryan Howard and deal with somebody else.
Braves a win, 5-3.
There's no mystery there. Kimbrel just blowing away Ben Francisco with the fastball.
Atlanta scored first, 2 solo homers to lead off the game. Jair Jurgens, Johnny Vetters, and Craig Kimbrell made it stand up. And Atlanta and the Phillies battle for the series win tomorrow afternoon. And we're back in a moment.